Yet another Temple team has found its way to the national ranks this week. And a sneak peek of normalcy returns as fans make their way back to the Temple Sports Complex for the rest of the spring season. All of that plus a handful of one-goal games. You're watching OwlAccess Pass, and it starts right now. Hello and welcome back to another edition of OwlAccess Pass here in Studio 3. I am Brooklyn Vaughan. We've got a lot to talk about today, and we'll be bouncing from the courts to the gymnastics floor to even the football field. But first, let's start off with another nail-biter for Temple Athletics coming from the lacrosse team this past Saturday. Coming off of an electric win over number 12 Towson, the Owls were back in action on Saturday on their home turf, taking on the local rival St. Joe's. Senior Jackie Sergio struck first in this one, sporting a number 9 jersey this week after ripping her jersey in the Towson matchup. True story. The Hawks will keep this one neck and neck, and this will be Sam McGee with her second goal of the afternoon, making it a tied game with just 4 minutes to go. Belle Mastro-Petro finds the back of the net just moments later to put the Owls back on top, but that lead only lasts as quickly as it was achieved. Stephanie Kelly comes up big time for the Hawks to cap off her hat trick and put her team back in it with just over a minute to go. It took not one but 2 overtimes to decide this game. Karen Akrasius is the hero for the Owls, who come out on top 11-10. Temple hadn't beaten St. Joe's since 2017, but all of that changed in dramatic fashion this weekend. After the exciting win over number 12 ranked Towson, the highest ranked win in program history, by the way, and now this hard-fought win over St. Joe's, Temple is finally picking up national attention. Check this out. With a 4-1 record so far, the Owls were named to the IWCLA Coaches Poll, tied at number 25, as well as the Inside Lacrosse Maverick Media Poll at number 20. Up next for the Owls, they look to pick up 2 more upset wins this week as the number 10 ranked Florida Gators come to Philly and play at TSC on Friday and Sunday. It is also the team's conference opener. Over to the turf for women's soccer now, who traveled to Cincinnati to take on the Bearcats on Sunday. We'll pick it up in the 75th minute here. The game is tied at 1 apiece, and that's Haley Gutowski with the assist to Gabby Johnson. And that goal has helped the Owls to that 2-1 victory, moving them to a 3-2-1 record so far. They will host SMU at Temple Sports Complex on Wednesday. Fans were back in the stands at the Temple Sports Complex on Sunday afternoon for some field hockey action as Temple hosted Drexel. The majority of the action in this game came right here in the first 2 minutes of play with this goal from Sydney Borneman to put the Owls on top early. That was the sophomore's first career goal, and it was the only one that would be scored all day. The Owls' 15 shots on the day tied their season high, and their defense was up to par as well, holding the Dragons to only 3 shots in the first half. The final score 1-0, giving the Owls their second win of the weekend. Up next, the team heads to Delaware this Sunday for another non-conference matchup. The gymnastics team had an exciting final weekend of competition, making its mark in its new league with 13 All-EAGL honors. Junior Ariana Castrense makes up 4 of these honors herself, 3 of those on the first team, and just behind her is the junior transfer Juliana Rowland with 3 honors, 2 of them being first team as well. The freshman Brooke Donabedian had a successful rookie year, picking up 2 honors as well. Joining in on the fun is Faith Leary, Tori Edwards, Serena Whalen, and Renee Shugman. The team is headed to the University of Pittsburgh this weekend to compete in its first EAGL championships against Towson, Pitt, and LIU. The women's basketball season came to an end down in Fort Worth last Tuesday, and after a first-round bye in the AAC tournament, they then lost to Tulane on Tuesday. They awaited their fate for a bid in the WNIT, but did not hear their name called during the field announcements on Monday evening. Temple officially ends its season with an 11-11 overall record and an 11-7 in conference play record. It's not all bad news, though. There is plenty to look forward to if you're an Owls fan, especially the fact that among eligible players to return is Mia Davis, the 4-year starter and fan favorite who has set many records during her time with Temple. The men's team didn't make out too well either in Fort Worth. They were also handed a first-round AAC tournament loss to USF on Thursday. They finished their season with a 5-11 record, going 4-10 in conference play. Their most notable AAC wins came early in the season against Tulsa, Tulane, and UCF, and then finally against USF back on February 24th. That was the last game they played before facing the Bulls yet again in the postseason due to COVID protocol and contact tracing. The silver lining for Owls fans is the possible return of Devondre Perry and Brendan Barry, the seniors who were granted that extra year of eligibility due to COVID. News broke late on Monday night that senior J.P. Mormon will not be returning to play for the Owls during his final year of eligibility. Per Owl Sports Update anchor and WHIP host Ray Dunn, the two-time captain will be entering the transfer portal this past season. The North Carolina native averaged 7 points and 5 rebounds per game. He also was recently named the AAC Sportsmanship Award winner. Temple football is getting ready for its 2021 season, and while spring ball hasn't started quite yet, Edward Golson Hall is back in operation today, and for a very important reason. 2020 has taken so much from student athletes, and there's been a lot of questions surrounding the future of those trying to go pro. The 2021 Pro Day might bring some answers to these guys trying to make their way to the league, as NFL scouts are at 10th and Diamond on Tuesday for a day full of trials and tests for 8 Temple players with NFL aspirations. Because of the COVID shutdown at this time last year, the 2019 seniors never got their shot in front of NFL scouts, so this year will be a mix of players participating in Pro Day from not only the class of 2020, but the class of 2019 as well. And among them are safeties Benny Walls and Anthony Cruz. And then there's quarterback Kamir Brown, who will also be participating in Pro Day. The grad student missed his entire 2019 season due to an injury, but was in action again this past year. And then, of course, there's Brandon Mack, the 6'5", 220-pound wideout who made quite the mark during his time on North Broad. He took to Twitter a few weeks ago saying that he is the most underrated wide receiver in the draft, and now he's got the chance to gain a little bit more respect leading up to the big draft weekend. I'll now toss it to Adam Crognale, who's over at the studio set to talk about the rest of the guys who will be making their mark during Pro Day. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Brooklyn. Well, there are 4 additional players who will try and attract the NFL scouts' attention on Tuesday. Class of 2020's Dan Archibong and class of 2019's Zach Mesday, Jagger Gardner, and Aaron Monroe. Let's start out with Aaron Monroe. He spent his first 3 seasons of college football in Happy Valley at Penn State before transferring to Temple in 2019. In that lone season with the Owls, Monroe was a dual threat on both defense and special teams. He totaled 37 tackles, and his versatility could attract some scouts at Pro Day. Mesday is an interesting name that was certainly hidden by the other defensive ends on that 2019 edge. Names like Dana Levine, who had an invite last year to the New York Giants, and AAC Defensive Player of the Year in 2019, Quincy Roche, really stole the show. But Mesday still had 4.5 sacks to go along with 25 tackles. Mesday is definitely a high-energy guy that I believe would have had even better numbers without those big names in front of him on that depth chart, so time for him to show up. Gardner is another guy that has always battled big names. During most of his time on North Broad, there was Raquel Armstead, who, as we all know, is a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. In his final season, the freshman phenom Ray Davis emerged. Gardner put on solid numbers in that 29th season, averaging over 4 yards per carry to go along with 5 rushing touchdowns. And in this year's Pro Day, there won't be another running back for Gardner to compete with, so that's nice for him. And the only Owl that played in 2020, that was, of course, the guy highlighted in yellow, Dan Archibong, the defensive tackle. He was a single digit on North Broad for the past 2 seasons, lining up in the middle of that big front 4. You may remember he talked about in the fall his ability and his goal to make it in the NFL and get paid. So now is his chance, and I believe he is a favorite of this list of 4 to make it to the NFL. It's definitely a unique Pro Day, but a Pro Day nonetheless. We'll keep you posted on updates with these former Owls leading up to the 2021 draft as they become available. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Adam Crognale. Brooklyn, send it back over to you.
Thanks, Adam. We are ending our show today with some hopeful news coming from the city this past week. As some COVID restrictions have been lifted, Temple Athletics welcomed back a number of limited fans to the Temple Sports Complex. And as you saw a little bit earlier in our show, of course, due to capacity limitations, the number of tickets is restricted currently to 2 tickets per student athlete and 4 tickets per coach. Social distancing protocols are in place, as well as mandated mask wearing. It is great to see those bleachers slowly but surely filling up again. And even though our time is coming to an end today, we are not going too far. Owl Sports Update with Ray and Courtney will be live on TUTV this Thursday at noon, and then Courts in Session with Josh and Sage is back on Friday for its season finale. Our sports brief will also return on Monday. You can find all of that on our social media channels at Owl Sports Update. That's all the time we have today, but we will see you next Tuesday, and until then, stay safe. For Adam Crognale and the entire OwlAccess Pass crew, I am Brooklyn Vaughan.